Apparently, just because it feels like summer is technically summer and is behaving like summer for the last 3 weeks doesn't mean Mother Nature was done with the springtime storms yet. As yesterday showed across parts of the state, are we doing that again today? Let's talk about it in this Thursday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup.
Thank you to Storm Pro Solution for sponsoring today's Texas Weather Roundup. You can find them on the web at stormprosolution.com.
Good morning. It's Thursday, the 27th of June, 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Boldy-in-Chief David Reimer. Yeah, we had a bit of an active Wednesday across parts of the state. We had some rowdy storms in the Panhandle, the Arklatex, Northeast Texas, even into Texoma and North Texas yesterday afternoon and evening. We had hail up the size of tennis balls, just north of DFW Metroplex, winds over 60 miles an hour, and apparently my camera is having fun with the white balance. Well, we'll go ahead and fix that as we talk, but yeah, we dealt with quite a bit of rowdy behavior, which was quite annoying. But let's talk about what's going to happen today as we deal with yet another chance for at least some pop-up thunderstorms on the eastern periphery of the upper-level heat dome. Yesterday, the heat dome had shifted a bit further west, allowing a northwesterly flow aloft, a weak one, but still one nevertheless, to materialize over the eastern third of Texas. That allowed storms in Oklahoma to move south into the eastern third of Texas yesterday afternoon. We had talked about that yesterday morning. What I hadn't necessarily advised was apparently an outflow boundary left over from those storms was able to fire up some new supercells late yesterday afternoon and yesterday evening in southern Oklahoma, Texoma, into North Texas, and those storms were quite rowdy. We also had some nasty storms in the Panhandle, Northwest Texas, but at least some of you got rain, cooled air, and a bit of rain out of it. In terms of what we're expecting over the next couple of days, as I play with my white balance, and probably should just leave it be and pretend I'm a Barney the dinosaur. Well, again, another round of storms possible at times. Today, eastern third of Texas, we could see pop-ups, southeast Texas, the Brazos Valley, east Texas. We might see another round of storms in central and southern Oklahoma this afternoon. Those may make a run at northwest Texas, Texoma, North Texas. Pop-up showers across maybe the borderland, far west Texas, the Panhandle, and maybe even down into central Texas. So again, a little more active, like yesterday, today, and some of these storms may be on the rowdy side with gusty winds, lightning, maybe a bit of hail. Mostly quiet tonight, hopefully, and then you could see tomorrow afternoon lesser coverage of storms as the heat dome starts to reestablish itself. Wildfire danger over the next several days from the Texas A&M Forest Service. Today, tomorrow, moderate to high fire danger across a majority of the state. Then Saturday, same story. As long as we remain mostly dry with hot temperatures, we're going to keep drying out. And contrary to some of the rain yesterday and maybe a few today, that's not enough to really do much in terms of reducing fire danger on a regional scale. Here's the upper air pattern the next few days. I'll let this play out, but you can see the main jet stream. These are winds at about 18,500 feet above sea level. They're going to remain well to our north, as is typical this time of year. You could see last night into this morning, we had that northwesterly flow aloft the eastern third of the state that allowed for somewhat more organized thunderstorms. You could see by tomorrow through the weekend, early next week, the heat dome reestablishes itself, shutting down any sort of, jet stream over our part of the world. You could see some weak southeasterly flow aloft on the southern periphery of that upper-level ridge area of high pressure across South Texas. That may allow for some tropical moisture, maybe a couple of isolated pop-up storms. But again, this is not a pattern that favors us getting attacked with severe weather, widespread storms like yesterday or maybe a bit today. We are going to have to keep an eye on exactly what this pattern does, though, in about At this point, 8 to 10 days. We're starting to get a little more data suggesting some issues in the tropical department, not specifically for Texas at this point, but the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Usually we have to wait till late July, August, September for these systems to, come off the African coast, develop east to the Leeward Islands, move west into the Caribbean, the Yucatan Peninsula, and then eventually the Gulf of Mexico, the classic track of storms that, take 2 weeks. Model data is starting to suggest we're starting that early this year. We may have one underway by the first week of July. We could have a pretty nasty hurricane in the Caribbean this time next week. And from there, well, where it goes is going to depend on the Bermuda high pressure. That'll steer it either, kind of over Cuba up into the Atlantic-ish, or try to keep it further south, move it closer to the Yucatan Peninsula, maybe in the Gulf of Mexico, around, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th of July. And we're just talking amongst ourselves here. We're not making that a complete forecast. It's something that could happen. We're going to watch for. Depending on where the ridge of high pressure over us is located, that could try to steer that system into Mexico. If it even made it into, the Gulf of Mexico, it could try to steer it into us, or it could, allow it to turn northeast and be an issue for the eastern Gulf of Mexico, if it's an issue for anybody at all. But we're going to start watching that time frame a little more closely now. But in terms of sensible weather for us, we're not dealing with anything over the next 10 days to be concerned about in that regard. But we are going to start keeping a more vigilant eye on the tropics, especially after Wednesday of next week into, the 5th through 10th of July. Welcome to the tropics, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So, outside of what I just discussed, let's look at temperatures over the next several days. Today's high temperature forecast, well, guess what? It's hot. 90s, triple digits, high humidity. Eastern half of the state will make heat index values approach 110 for some folks. Tomorrow, even hotter. We're looking at triple digits, western 2/3 of the state for highs. Upper 90s, eastern third of the state, heat index values 105 to 110 degrees. Saturday, upper 90s to triple digits across a majority of the state, maybe a little cooler in the Panhandle, West Texas, but again, we're kind of just nitpicking here. The difference between, 96, 97, 98, and 100, really not that significant in the overall scope of things. It's hot. It's summer. Sunday, same story. It's hot. And then Monday, the heat dome gets all super duper happy right over us, and it might actually get even hotter. We may see high temperatures approaching 105 to 108 across portions of the state. And so, yes, it's going to be hot. It's probably going to be quite hot for the 4th of July. Big surprise. It's really not. It's summer. So that'll be it for your Thursday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Again, maybe a few storms to watch today. We're going to have to watch the tropics late next week. Just in case we do have some issues trying to come in from the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico, but that is so far out. We're just keeping an eye on it. That doesn't mean plans need to change. I wouldn't even worry about it at this point. It's just something we in the Weather Weenie department are going to watch because we're weather weenies and we have nothing better to do this time of year. Typically, it's going to be hot and humid. And so again, that'll be it for your Thursday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. You can always get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radars, daily Texas Weather Roundup forecast, and more in the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps for your device. And as always, you can find us on the Texas Weather Center YouTube channel. We appreciate the comments, happy feedback, not so happy feedback. If you like our content, give us the super duper thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, you're more than welcome to join the family. Y'all make a good one. We'll chat with y'all again Friday morning. Have a good one. God bless.